Hey everyone, it's 10 types, and rotation is right around the corner in the Pokemon TCG, and when I say right around the corner, I mean it's coming relatively soon. We got a couple of months, though in Japan it's coming even sooner, so we'll get a glimpse into that. If you're, playing in Japan, then that's the format you'll be playing in quite soon. And when I say soon internationally, soonish, it's gonna be at the end of March or the beginning of April, depending how exactly you're playing. So we do have some time, and if you're not familiar with what rotation is, it's something that quite simply is what kind of defines the standard format, which is the past few years of the Pokemon TCG. If you look at a random Pokemon card that is printed relatively recently, you'll see a regulation mark on it. It starts with A in Japan, starts with D internationally because it does. I don't exactly know the reason why. I don't know why internationally picked up a late. But anyways, this is what defines the standard format here. So we are going to be losing the cards with the currently it starts with G regulation mark like Professor's research here. That is going to rotate out of the format. Then it will be H on, so H, I, and J. I don't believe there are currently any J regulation mark cards out internationally, but they will be coming out soon, starting with, I believe, Ascended Heroes. So that's going to be pretty exciting there. And today I want to take a look at what the meta will actually look like post-rotation, and speculate on that a little. I honestly haven't really thought about it too much. I've thought about cards and some of the more obvious things, because there are some decks that are just straight up rotating, but there are definitely some decks that I haven't really thought about too much. And I will quickly note as well that there are cards coming out in the perfect order, or whatever the Japanese expansion's named. I've heard a few different translations, but that's we've seen a handful of reveals from that. We've seen these ones here. There was also a couple of fossil evolutions which don't look good. Unfortunately, they look pretty bad, to be honest, but they are coming out. But these cards, a couple of them have been revealed. I'll talk about them a little at the end. There's some interesting ones. Pokepad and Meowth are both very good, though I don't think they're going to change exactly what's good that much. I mean, they kind of replace some losses with the rotation. And to talk about the trainers and special energy we're losing with Uncommon Fossil on Monday, so check that out if you haven't seen that already. And we're also going to talk about the Pokemon rotating in a lot of depth this coming Monday, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that as well. But with that out of the way, let's just hop right in and go through the decks in standard right now, and then we'll kind of talk about some, the true top meta decks. Then we'll go into some more rogue ones. I think I'll group it up here. I think that's going to be fine, and we'll just go deck by deck, but I'll start actually at deck number 2 here, which is Gholdengo EX. Gholdengo EX here is rotating. Yes, there are other pieces that aren't rotating, specifically Lunatone and Solrock aren't rotating, but Gholdengo EX is rotating. Superior Energy Retrieval is also rotating, and yeah, the deck's rotating. That's pretty simple and straightforward there. Same thing with Charizard EX here. Oh, I can't see that list for whatever reason. It's closed list, which is kind of annoying. But we got Charizard EX here. Pidgeot EX as well. Pidgeot EX is rotating. Charizard EX is also rotating. And yeah, they're rotating. The deck's rotating. Charizard EX is also somewhat similar to Mars Grimmsnarl EX, so we'll see if that kind of ends up taking its place. But obviously, we won't see Mars Grimmsnarl EX paired with Pidgeot EX, because as I said, that card is rotating, and we'll get to Marnie's in a little bit here. Then we have Gardevoir EX. Gardevoir EX has been, a really good deck since it's come out. Same thing with Charizard. Gholdengo, I'd say a similar level, though a little later on. It's was a little mediocre at first, but anyways, Gardevoir EX, it's rotating, right? Gardevoir EX is rotating, so it's going to be bad. It's interesting, or not playable. So it'll be interesting to see if any of the cards paired with it are going to see play post-rotation. Specifically, like Jellicent EX, I'm wondering, and Frillish, if they're going to see play. Mega Diancie EX and Mega Gardevoir EX, and, there's just a bunch of different cards that are paired with it. Some of them are rotating. Mew EX, Screamtail are rotating. But it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. Also interesting to see what happens with Monkey Dory as well. But then we have the arguably top deck right now, which is Dragapult. Okay. Let's find a Dragapult. There we go. Not Dragapult, Charizard. Dragapult, of course, a very powerful card in the metagame, allowing you to do 200 active, 6 damage countering points, bench Pokemon in any way you like. There is a counter in the upcoming expansion, Ascended Heroes, in the form of Nightmine. I definitely think this is the probably the best of the Dragapult counters, maybe outside of Lilith Clefairy EX. Lilith Clefairy EX is a way to very relatively easily one-shot Dragapult EX. That being said, it actually trades evenly to negatively with Dragapult, unless you have the tool, which essentially no one plays. So, yeah, I think Night Mine is going to be a very powerful counter to Dragapult EX, increasing the attack cost of Terra Pokemon. Honestly, I think this is the second best card from Ascended Heroes behind was it Pokepad? Which Pokepad is like definitely the best card in the set. I don't think there's any debate about that. But Nightmine might cause some issues for Dragapult EX. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal though. Of course, you still have Drake-Loke as well for a nice little draw engine. They are not like broken, but I mean it's very good on a already very good deck, right? So it's very powerful there. On top of that, you pair it with Dustor, the Dustor line. Yes, Dustor can be countered by Psyduck. Psyduck is a good card, right? It's a good counter card. That being said, Dusknoir quite simply is very powerful at disrupting your opponent's board. And again, looking at the metagame right now, we have these 4 top decks. These are clearly played more and are just very powerful in the metagame right now compared to the decks behind them. So I don't think Dragapult is going to eat up the share of all these other decks, but I do expect Dragapult to be played a lot and be very good post rotation. If you're I mean, we'll get closer there. We'll see post rotation in Japan, but I imagine you should be very prepared to deal with Dragapult post rotation with the decks that you're playing, even more so than now. You're doing to be prepared for it, but you're not losing Badoo, you're not losing Munkidori. I mean, Munkidori, it would actually be better for Dragapult, I imagine, if Munkidori rotated. Munkidori is obviously is good with Gardevoir EX. It's also good with Mars Conventional EX, which we'll get to a little bit later. But you have it as a counter mostly to Dragapult, honestly, allowing you to remove some of the damage from your board. Yes, Munkidori, your own Munkidori can send it back, but this is extra energy. It's a card that doesn't fit super well into Dragapult. It's not terrible. Well, actually, no, it is going to be. I don't think people are going to play it in Dragapult because Luminous Energy is also rotating. Yes, Prism Energy works with Munkidori, but it doesn't work with Dragapult, right? So that doesn't really count. I think Munkidori won't be included in Dragapult, so it would be a lot better for Dragapult if Munkidori was rotating because it will be played in some other decks. I think you could play it in Dragapult if you really wanted to. I think people will, honestly. I think it shouldn't be, because it's another sacrifice. You already have energy issues, unless there's something I'm forgetting which helps it out, but I don't think there is. So it's just gonna be really not super good in Dragapult, which the reason it's nice is because, again, you have Luminous Energy there, but you also have high HP, and you get more value from spreading damage counters around your board than most other decks because you're already doing some spread stuff. It has good synergy with Dusknoir and Dragapult EX, but that's going to be, a lot more difficult to pull off, right? When you're not naturally running the energy, you're making more cuts into your deck list and things like that. I think people will lean more into maybe a thicker Duststorm line, or if people are doing that, then you might still have side decks, so maybe you'll run away from that. But I don't know exactly how the list will look. You could do Crispin and do some stuff there, but that seems pretty clunky. So Munkidori is not gonna. It's not good for Dragapult, right? It's like a bit of a counter there. You are still keeping Bloomer Saloon EX, you're keeping Latias EX. You are losing Hawlucha. Hawlucha is a somewhat meaningful loss for the deck, but I mean, compared to the other top decks, it's the deck stays, right? And most of the important pieces stay. So losing Hawlucha is more or less fine. I do think Luminous is going to be a meaningful card loss, but playing just basics is fine with Neo Upper. Definitely, presumably not wanting to play Sparkling Crystal. Personally, I think in standard Sparkling Crystal, Dragapult is okay. Jamming Tower obviously will turn that off. Jamming Tower is staying there. That being said, you're losing Arven, right? Losing Arven is a pretty big deal, and is going to change the composition of a good chunk of decks. So that's going to be interesting to see there. But overall, you're keeping most of your supporters. You are losing Research, but or you're losing Iono as well. It's not like you are losing stuff, right? But every other deck's losing it. Playing Lilies is still very good. So and yeah, you have Draw. So ultimately, Dragapult's going to be good. I've kind of it's kind of obvious, right? I'd be shocked if Dragapult isn't good. I'd be shocked if it's not a top 5 deck post rotation. I'd honestly be shocked if it's not the top deck post rotation, unless we see something crazy from Perfect Order that's just super good against it. I mean, I do think, as I said, Night Mine is very good. I think this should be a card people are really looking to play a lot of It's way better than Battle Cage as a Dragapult counter. Battle Cage is not a super good Dragapult counter. It's better than Monkey Dory as a Dragapult counter. It's better than Lily's Clefairy EX probably as a Dragapult counter. I mean, it's easier to tech in, right? Lily's Clefairy EX, you need to be putting the energy in, you need to get the energy on, and you need to be able to win the game from there as well. You need to, like, if you respond to your opponent's Dragapult play, but you've also like lost your whole board. This is not really going to work, right? Lily's Clefairy EX just doesn't work in everything. So, Night Mine I think is a card that people should be looking towards. I'm not exactly sure. I was gonna say not sure how to find it. I mean, you do have Colossus Dastardly. You also have Noctowl, though obviously Noctowl works with Terras, and Night Mine is not so good for Terras. So maybe Colossus Tenacity, but I mean, some special energies are rotating it. I mean, special energies aren't amazing right now, but Night Mine definitely, I think, a really big card to keep an eye out for. Then looking at the other decks, we do have the Mega Box deck. I've talked about this deck a little bit, or I've talked about it a good amount. You have Mega Absol EX for disruption. Mega Kangaskhan EX is a good attacking option. Of course, Ogerpon EX. You also have a Veltal, and you have other things going on in the list as well. For the most part, you're not really losing Pokemon. Are you losing any Pokemon? No, you're not. So you got all the Pokemon, which is nice there. The deck is like, obviously, it's not amazing in the metagame right now. It's like fine. It also hits Gardevoir EX for weakness. If we look at its matchup spread, you see that hitting Gardevoir for weakness is nice against, like, I mean, it can do good stuff against Dragapult, but it is a bit of a control-y anti-meta deck. So, what will this deck look like after the meta changes? I don't know. I don't think Mega Absol EX is going to be like a card that's carrying this deck. Yes, disruption is nice, but you're also losing Iono. Iono is like super good with this being able to disrupt your opponent's hand. Yes, you do still have Zoroark's Machinations if you want to use that, and you also do have Judge. Those are like both like okay, but in terms of they're just worse cards than Iono, right? And I do think Iono is a card that is very good in the deck. And you're also losing Arven and TM Turbo Energize. This is like theoretically the big loss to the deck. TM Turbo Energize, turn 1 going second, accelerating energy to your board. That being said, you do have where's it? You got Mega Autono EX. Mega Autono EX, I think, is the replacement, and I think it's going to keep the deck perfectly afloat in terms of, losing this. It is searchable. You don't need Arven to search this, and you can use Kaleido Waltz here, turn 1 going second. You flip 3 coins for each head, search the deck for 2 basic energy cards, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. There's a 1 in 8 chance there that you're going to not accelerate any energies, which will be bad, but the rest of the time you'll be accelerating as many, if not more, energies there. So Mega Autono is just going to be a card that is I think a nice little addition to the deck. You're already playing Megas. Mega Signal is going to slot nicely in there as well. Running Mega Kangaskhan EX, Mega Autono EX, and Mega Absol EX, I think it's just like a really nice combo with Mega Signal. Mega Signal's already like okay-ish in the deck. Mega Signal is not a super good card, but you're losing Nest Ball. So I think it's going to be a really, really nice addition there, especially because you're probably going to be leaning a little away from Precious Trolley potentially because you can't search it out turn 1 going second using Arven there, right? So this is definitely a big issue for the deck losing Arven. But I do think there is a pretty simple answer as well there. Then we look at Alakazam. Wait, Alakazam's the 6th deck. Okay. What if we ungroup things? Yeah, it drops. Oh, it actually doesn't drop that down very far. Alakazam, it's not that good, right? Let's be honest. Alakazam, its win rate's like fine. It's like an okay deck. For a single prize deck, it's very good. I mean, it's not in the top tier. It's in that like mediocre tier. And yeah, I mean, Alakazam, Iono searching, that's good. That's definitely going to be good for you. And you're also getting Pokepad, which is also very good for you. Pokepad, again, searching for any non-rule box. Let me pull it up again. Non-rule box Pokemon really putting into your hand. That's really good, right? That's going to be a really, really huge addition to the deck. I think the deck's not really losing too much, particularly big. Is it losing like a Dunsparce? It's losing the 70 HP one, I guess. I don't even know what Dunsparces are there in the game. There is there is a 70 HP one, so it's fine, right? Dunsparce losing that's not really a loss, particularly meaningful there. Overall, I think the deck will continue to be good. but obviously, it's not like a truly, it's just not the most powerful deck. I mean, it can be very powerful, and losing Anno, I think, is a really big deal for it. But I mean, you see the 4 Battle Cage in the deck. Yes, it will have Night Mine, but Dragapult's an issue for the deck. I mean, that's why you see so many Battle Cages in the deck. That's like really scary to see there. And your opponent Dragapult can bump the stadium, and then they bump the stadium, and then yeah, you just like are very sad, right? Your board like disappears or something. So yeah, that's not so good overall. Yes, there are some good things about this deck, but Dragapult is going to rise up, I imagine, and that's going to be bad. So I think Alakazam's in an okay place between the good and the bad. The good's pretty good, the bad's pretty bad. In terms of losses, though, again, not really anything there super meaningful to the deck that you're actually losing. So Alakazam in a pretty decent place there. Then we got Mega Kangaskhan. Honestly, I don't really see this deck that much. But it's like walls, or it's like Mega Kangaskhan with Monkey Dory and Bouffalon mostly, and you could have like other walls and stuff like that. And this deck is losing TM Turbo Energize and Arven, which I think is a bigger loss to this deck. Yes, you could do the Mega Audino thing, but I don't know. You really I guess it is still colorless. It's not like too terrible, but you do want to have Mega Kangaskhan EX in the active a lot, and not having these other liabilities. So Mega Audino EX will be a bit of a liability. It's not like the end of the world, and I think it'll slot okay into the deck here. But I think you're going to see some bigger losses. You're also losing Bravery Charm. I didn't mention that with anything else before, but I think it's going to be a slightly bigger issue to this deck, relying on being a little more tanky. And you're losing Penny as well. I didn't mention that before either, but you have some more meaningful losses to this deck here. Then I think with a Mega Absol box, they are pretty similar decks, and I think the deck will be okay-ish. I mean, again, it's kind of stally, counter meta-y. This has less control aspects, more stall aspects, but ultimately, I think the idea of the deck will certainly stay. But I think the exact form it will take will change. Not exactly sure what that will look like. Potentially introducing other walls. We'll see obviously what the metagame looks like. That'll kind of determine what you're looking to play with and against there. But I think there is something here. I don't think it's deck's super good either, to be honest. I think it is kind of mediocre. But yeah, I mean it's in an okay spot, I think. Monkey Dory, again, getting the energies on. A little clunky without. Well, actually, is it clunky? I think it might be easier without. Well, not easier without TM Turbo Energize. Specifically, easier with Mega Audino EX. You average are going to be accelerating 3 energies as opposed to 2, which you do have a place to put those extra energies, which is meaningful. So I think I generally like the position of this deck, but I'm not super in love with it either. Then we have Mega Lopunny EX. Mega Lopunny EX is an interesting deck to talk about here. Specifically, you pair it with Dusknoir as well as Mega Kangaskhan EX. You are losing Klefki. That's like bad, I guess, against Psyduck. I mean, the deck's really heavily built around Dusknoir. Dusknoir's the main piece. Mega Lopunny EX certainly a decent attacking option, but that's not super important. I mean, it's important. It is the main attacker, but theoretically, it's like just the best way to use Dusknoir. In like a Dusknoir as the main piece of the deck. I mean, it's a 4/2/4 line with 4 rare candies, no other stage 2s, right? But you are losing Jet Energy, right? Jet Energy is the big loss for this deck. I'm notoriously a bit of a Jet Energy hater, but it's pretty good here. You can obviously pivot that a little more to focus on switches, and maybe we'll see more switch cards. I don't think we've seen any revealed so far, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I mean, yeah, strategy is a meaningful loss, but you can still do some Mega Lopunny stuff. Maybe using Mega Kangaskhan EX a little bit less, not getting those double switches on as many turns, and you are losing. I'm using Iono as well. But overall, I feel like there aren't too many particularly. I do losing Death Ball. I think the deck will be okay with that one. I mean, it's not great, but you still have Ultra Ball, and you have you can toss on Pokepad, which is going to be like okay. Kinda like your some of your Ultra Ball searches that were for Dusknoir will be gotten with Pokepad, and then some of your Ultra Ball searches or your Nest Ball searches will be moved to Ultra Ball searches. So it's like it's not terrible. I think it's fine. Ultimately, you're losing some versatility with your deck because Nest Ball is going to be realistically better than Pokepad because it can get you draw yeah, I guess that in Latias EX, they can get you Mega Kangaskhan EX in Latias EX, but they can't get you the the what was I gonna say? It can't get you the Duster online, and I guess the Pokeball card can also get Ditto. Wait, is Ditto rotating? Ditto, yeah, Ditto's rotating. I just thought about that. Yeah, Ditto's rotating, which is like okay. I also think Ditto's kind of sketchy. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was gonna be super good, and then it's kind of awkward to play. But it is a meaningful loss within the deck. But so you can't get those other basics with Pokepad, but I think it's still going to be more or less fine. I'm not overly concerned about the loss of Jet Energy to the level that I think some people are, but it is a meaningful loss. I'm not sitting here saying it's not. I don't think it'll crush the deck. I think it'll drop it. I think it'll drop it maybe like a tier or something. But then the other decks are also falling, right? So that being said, it dropping a tier might kind of like destroy the deck, right? Then we have a handful more decks here. We have Marnie's Completely Yanks, the deck I was kind of talking about a little bit before. And yeah, I think Mars is going to be pretty good. There is a new Snow which is a 70 HP Snow which is meaningful here, specifically against Dragapult, which, as I've been saying, I think is going to be super good. That's not a hot take or anything, but I do think it will be very good. And so that matchup will be even more meaningful there. And then you also see there's a new Mega Frostlass CX. The Mega Frostlass CX has like almost no synergy with the deck, unfortunately. But it is a card that exists. But Mars Gunstone EX, quite simply, one is going to be the best place for Monkey Dory post rotation by far, I'm pretty sure, unless there's something I'm forgetting. And then on top of that, it also is the replacement for Charizard EX. I've said for a long time it's a weaker Charizard EX. Charizard DX not going to be so good once it rotates, right? So you can select the energy to yourself. You can do pretty decent damage there. You can do spread damage. You can yeah, do more spread damage, I guess. It's Marnie's. It's gonna be more or less the same. And I don't think it's losing anything huge. I mean, you're losing Artizone, that's like every deck's losing that. You're losing, I guess, Arven, that's like bad or whatever. But like, I guess it'll be more reliant on Candy, which is kind of sketchy, which you can't search out without Arven because you can't TM Evolution. We are losing all the good TMs. There's one TM that's saying it's so bad. Most people probably don't know what it does. If you know what it does, leave it down below in the comment section, I guess. And then also, if you played against it, I would really be interested, or with it, I'd really be interested in hearing that in the comment section because I've not played with it. If I have, it's because it's bad and I haven't used it. And if I played against it, I mean, I just cannot imagine that. But anyways, we are losing Team Evolution and Team Devolution as well. Team Devolution is certainly nice for the deck. That's a meaningful loss. Team Evolution also a meaningful loss with Arven there as well. But I think the deck will mostly be, more or less intact. You got Spiked with Gym, very good. You have Pokepad, which is nice as well. So overall, I'm not too worried about this deck. I think it will be better, in my opinion. And we might see it paired with something different that's not Monkey Dory and Frostlass, specifically not with Frostlass. I think Monkey Dory's attack within the deck makes a bunch of sense, kind of like how we see it tacked into the next deck we're going to talk about, which is Zoroark EX. Monkey Dory in the deck is like fine. Monkey Dory is so it's a pretty good card, and it fits within it because of Darkness Energy. This deck here is losing. Okay, this is a deck I like. I know it's played, I see it, but I don't know. I kind of just zone it out, to be honest. But like I literally played against this deck earlier today, and I've like completely forgotten how that game went. But I don't remember if I won or I lost. But anyways, this deck here, it's Darkness, right? It's a Darkness deck. Marnie's is also a Darkness deck, and yeah, I mean these decks, let's look at Gardevoir. Gardevoir bad against Mega Absol, bad against Marnie's, bad against Zoroark. Is rotating, right? So you're losing that good matchup, which is a big reason to play these stacks. I feel like, so Ends is getting some new stuff as well. I'll mention that. The stuff is like, I don't think, oh no, yeah, some of it is good. Ends Zekrom is good, and a very nice addition to the deck, doing a bunch more damage with the Ends Zoroark EX. Ends Zekrom does 250, you can attack next turn, which isn't like ideal, but it's certainly not that bad. I mean, you do have Pekron EX, and I mean, let's be honest, not being able to attack next turn is one of the most mediocre downsides in the TCG, right? It matters from time to time, but, it's not that big of a deal. And then just use that, and that's going to be good. Overall, I don't think the deck's getting... Outside of that, it's not getting that much better. With rotation and perfect order, it's not getting that much better because that's coming out with Ascended Heroes. But yeah, definitely going to be a nice little addition to the deck, and I think it's going to be pretty decent. Getting that like nice main attacking option in the deck, which is really lacked. It has Ends Reshiram, that's kind of mediocre. Overall, I like the position Ends in. I don't think it's super amazing because I mean the upside of the deck, even with the Ends Zekrom, is just okay. I don't think it's like super versatile. I mean, you look at the different attacking options in this deck in terms of ends Pokemon, you have one. Well, I guess you have two with Enzarua. Well, I guess you have three attacks as well with two on ends of Reshiram there, but like it's still pretty limited what you can do with it. There's some weird wacky stuff that it's unfortunately pretty bad there, but I do like the position of ends in terms of it's getting a little better, but it's losing a good matchup, so there's some stuff going all around there. And then we got a handful of other decks here. We do have Seruledge. Seruledge, I think, will be fine slash better than it was before. I mean, I'm a big fan of Seruledge. I think it's a good, straightforward, powerful deck. It's pretty easy to play as well. It's losing research. It's losing research, which is bad, but it still has Carmen. Carmen's like fine within the deck, and you do have easier search for it. You also losing Squawkbill EX, which is like bad, but I mean, I'm a big believer in Lunatone Zoroark, and this is a deck that, in my opinion, uses it the best in the game. Be able to discard energies and just get like pretty good value out of it pretty consistently. You're losing Nest Ball, of course, as well, which is bad for Lunatone Zoroark. I mean, I don't know, you'll play Pokepad, I guess, right? So it's not, and you're fighting young, right? Yeah, so it'll be fine here. I think fighting is going to get some buffs in the new set, but I don't think they're really going to matter for this deck here. But I do think Ceruledge GX is going to be pretty good. I mean, I'm just a believer in the deck, except I guess with Nightmine. Actually, no, now that I think about it, Nightmine is going to be good. I think ignoring Nightmine, this is good. With Nightmine, though, this is bad. So if Nightmine ends up seeing a lot of play, which I do think it should, this will be kind of bad because it like can't really beat Nightmine at all, to be honest. It kind of just loses if your opponent plays it. I mean, not entirely, but like mostly, right? Let's be honest. You can't attack. Or you need two energies instead of one, which is like a huge detriment. You're not prepared for that at all. You could theoretically adapt in some manner, but I don't think it would work very well, right? So, I like the position ignoring Nightmine, but if Nightmine is as prevalent as I think this deck will be like kind of bad. But if not, then I think this will be good. And then we have Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt is definitely one of the most interesting decks to talk about. It's losing a lot of important. Oh, okay, it's losing Professor Saw's Vitality. Professor Saw's Vitality is, in my opinion, by far the backbone of the deck. Like way better than Crispin. Just allowing you to accelerate more energy, draw cards, recover energy. And yeah, I mean the deck is just it's straight up it's losing a huge piece. It can do good stuff. It can do good stuff, but it's losing something very important to the deck. So I don't really know what this deck's gonna look like with rotation. I don't know if it'll really be playable or not. I personally am leaning on the side of not really being playable. It's gonna really need to rework its identity, which is done in the past. But I feel like Sada is the backbone. Yes, you have Tilmasoga upon EX still, but I don't know. I just don't really see this working out. I mean, maybe there was something there, but I'm just not a believer in this stack. Maybe what you could do like Blood Moon or Saluna, Lunatone, Solrock, or something like that. But overall, I just don't think the deck really has it, unfortunately. Then we look at Terrabox. Terrabox, obviously, Academy at Night, not so good for it. But there's a new Crod in the X you can actually play in the deck, which is like kind of funny. But ultimately, Air Zero Underdepth is still good. I do also think Team Rocket's Watchtower is also a very good stadium, but with the rotation, I think it is a bit weaker, I guess. But ultimately, I think Terrabox is going to be fine. It's losing some pieces. It's not losing Energy Switch, right? Energy Switch is not rotating. Oh, yeah, it's literally been reprinted in Mega Evolution already. And then also, you're losing. I mean, you're losing Earth and Like you have losses. You play a lot of different cards, but I think the deck will more or less be fine. I like Terrabox. I think it's a cool deck, and I think it'll be fine. Obviously, it's a toolbox deck that's always changing, but I don't feel too worried about it. Then you look at a handful more decks here. I don't think any of these are particularly good. I don't think any of them have huge losses unless I'm missing something. But lastly, we'll speak about Fighting type, which I mentioned has some nice additions, specifically Barbarical, which I do like quite a bit here. Once your turn, you can attach basic Fighting from your hand to one of your fighting Pokemon. There's also Tarragon. There's also an Energy, and there's some other cards here. But ultimately, I think Barbarical is going to be a nice little addition to Fighting it, potentially giving it some new arms here to stand on. Pun intended. Wait, does Barbarical stand on arms? I don't know. But anyways, Barbarical I do like quite a bit, kind of like Toxtricity or Flaffy. I do think it is the weakest of those pretty clearly, but it's still decent. I mean, those are both good cards with kind of mediocre partners and kind of mediocre support in general, to be honest. Lightning and Dark just have like fine trainers, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like, you got Fighting Yarn. Fighting Yarn's so much better than what those types have. You also have Lunatone Solrock, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what Fighting's going to do post-rotation. I really like the additions of Fighting. It just hasn't really panned out. I mean, yes, Lunatone Solrock have been good, but I'm really interested in seeing what happens as well in the post-rotation metagame, and of course we will get some more reveals as well, which I'll talk about as soon as they get revealed, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.